Hey guys, welcome to the Line Change. Coming at you with another game recap. The Canucks win. Canucks managed to win here tonight by a final score of 3-2. Apologies for that real quick. Something just kind of popped up on my screen unexpectedly and blocked my view. Apologies for that little awkward silence there. So let's dive right into this game recap. First period. Within the first 2 minutes or just under 3 minutes of the game, Elias Pettersson shot the puck. So everyone remembers the other day where Pettersson spoke with the media and basically walked back his comments from that post game against Utah, where he basically said the media was annoying. He walked those comments back, and then he took accountability for his poor play this season, basically confirming our suspicions that it is a confidence issue for him, and he's been struggling with it all season, and that he knows he needs to be better. And I also remember seeing a lot of responses on social media from various Canuck fans basically saying, and including former Canuck Jannik Hansen, essentially saying talk is cheap. Well, PD may have talked the other day. He walked the walk tonight as he got a shot on goal, within the opening minutes of the game. And we'll talk more about Pettersson later on in this video. But I would definitely say after tonight, granted, Pettersson didn't get any points, but he walked the walk tonight. So getting back into the recap, within the first 5 minutes of the game, the Canucks looked dangerous. Like, they had some darn good chances in the first 5 minutes. They were coming out strong. The complete opposite from when they played the Ducks about a week ago. So the complete opposite. The Canucks looked like a completely different team. Here tonight, Canucks go on the power play, but they end up not scoring on the power play. They did get 2 shots on the power play. And then Elias Pettersson with another shot on goal. So now Elias Pettersson, within this first period, has, after having not had any shots, the last 3, maybe 4 games? So, wow. Holy crap, Petey. Speaking of Petey, Pettersson was looking engaged. He was moving his feet. He was strong on the forecheck. He just looked completely engaged here tonight, something we have not seen all that often this season. Brock Boeser got absolutely robbed by John Gibson. Boeser had a great chance, managed to get the puck on net, and somehow John Gibson reached his arm back and stopped the puck. On most goalies, that puck is going into the net, but for some reason, John Gibson absolutely robbed Brock Boeser. So, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about Brock later on in this video, but I was stunned at that save. That was an incredible save by John Gibson. And then Anaheim scores. So they score first, which is something that's been happening the last couple games or so. Colangelo scores his 4th of the season at 13 minutes and 21 seconds, assisted by Gauthier and McTavish. It's 1-0 Anaheim. Then the Canucks go on the power play again, and they end up not scoring on their second power play. They didn't get any shots on this power play, so the Canucks are now 0 for 2 on the power play for the night, and that does it for the first period. The shots on goal in the period were 17-5 in favor of the Canucks. This is, I believe, the most shots on goal for the Canucks in the first period this season. So there's a big positive there for the Canucks. Moving on to the second period, Jake DeBrusk scores his 22nd of the season at 18 minutes and 55 seconds on the power play. So the Canucks got a third power play assisted by Boeser and Hronek. Jake DeBrusk, this was his 10th power play goal of the season, and the Canucks are now 1 for 3 on the power play. And then the Anaheim Ducks went on the power play, and they did not convert on their power play, so the Ducks are now 0 for 1 on the power play. The Canucks penalty kill comes up big again, something they have for the last several games now, and the power play has just really been looking strong the last few weeks or so, with the exception of that game against Utah, where Utah scored a power play goal. But other than that, penalty kill has been one of the few positives for this team the last few weeks. Bluger scores his 6th of the season at 9 minutes and 28 seconds, assisted by Hronek. And Elias Pettersson, sorry, it took me a second there, DPD, his 2nd assist of the season. It is now 2-1 Canucks. Carson Soucy scores his 3rd of the season at 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the second period, assisted by Höglander and Forbort. It is now 3-1 Canucks. Anaheim did challenge the goal, but they lost. Goal was not overturned, and then Anaheim was penalized for a delay of game due to failing in their challenge. And then that does it for the second period. The shots on goal in this second period were 6-5 in favor of the Canucks. Shots after 2 periods were 24-10 in favor of the Canucks. Moving on to the third period, the Canucks did not convert on their power play, so they are now 1 for 4 on the power play tonight. Lankinen was not very busy in this game. He wasn't really tested by the Ducks. The Canucks were controlling most of the puck possession in this game, which was great to see, that they were spending more time in the Ducks' offensive zone than their own. Dumoulin scores his 2nd of the season at 6 minutes and 33 seconds, assisted by Lundstrom and Leeson. It is now 3-2 for the Canucks. Anaheim takes another penalty, their 5th of the game. So Anaheim took 5 penalties in this game, and the Canucks got 5 power plays. You could tell that this power play was really missing Quinn Hughes, as I believe if Quinn Hughes had been in the lineup, a lot of these power plays, Canucks probably would have been able to convert on. Canucks ended up not converting on this latest power play, so they ended up being 1 for 5 on the power play. With 5 seconds left to go in the game, a fight breaks out between Connor Garland and Trevor Zegras. This was a late addition, as I did not catch this fight until browsing on Twitter and seeing the GIFs and the videos of it. So I quickly added this into my notes. Garland and Zegras ended up fighting with 5 seconds left in the game. Garland ended up winning the fight. And from what I've seen on social media, apparently this was Trevor Zegras' first ever fight in the NHL. And it was against Connor Garland. I've made it known that I've never been a big fan of Zegras. Honestly, I think he's a little punk and thinks he's better than he actually is. Zegras has really struggled this season due to injuries. The last couple seasons, actually, he's struggled, and he just really hasn't lived up to the hype of him being a first-round pick in his draft year, and I just don't like his attitude. I think he's cocky. He's an agitator. I mean, which is great to have on a team, but, there's times where he takes it a little too far. Not to mention Zegras is just coming off of a suspension, and he's been suspended more than once. So he's also a bit of a dirty player, at least in my opinion. So that's my take on Zegras. Never been a fan of his. I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is, but we'll leave it there. And then this brings us to the end of the game. Canucks end up winning, as I mentioned, 3-2. The shots on goal ended up being 12-5 in favor of the Canucks in the third period. The final shot totals for the game were 30-16 in favor of the Canucks. Carson Soucy's goal ended up being the game winner. Looking at some post-game notes, as I mentioned earlier, we were going to get into Elias Pettersson. Basically, long story short, Elias Pettersson had a great game tonight. He played really well. He was noticeable. I noticed him while watching the game. Elias Pettersson also won 20 out of 25 faceoffs here tonight. He was 8% in the faceoff circle, which is something you don't say about Pettersson a lot. Back when Horvat was a part of the team, he was a good faceoff guy. JT Miller was a good faceoff guy. You never saw that from Pettersson. But tonight, Pettersson won 20 out of 25 faceoffs. As I mentioned, he looked confident tonight. He was moving his feet. And then a little stat for you that was mentioned at the end of the game by Shorty. Elias Pettersson becomes the second player this season in a single game to win 20 faceoffs. The other person to do it, Sidney Crosby. So that is some pretty darn good company to be in for Elias Pettersson. Also, this game was potentially, of course, everyone knows this was the last game for the Canucks before Friday's trade deadline. They do play later that night. But this would be post trade deadline that they would be playing. So this could have been potentially, no, I'm not saying it actually is. I'm just saying it could potentially have been the last game for the likes of Brock Besser, Pius Suter, and potentially Carson Soucy. So this may have been their last game as Canucks, as we don't know if Besser's going to be moved at the deadline. It seems like the team, or I should say Alvin and Rutherford, still haven't decided if they're going to move Besser or use him as their own rental. But there was a little bit of talk about Suter moving the other night that ended up being debunked. Something brewing between Dallas and Vancouver, but it ended up not happening. And then obviously people have been talking about potentially moving Carson Soucy and using him as a trade piece. Obviously, Soucy has a no trade clause in his contract, and they're just looking to get out of the final year of his deal and basically freeing up some money. So yeah, could have been their last games as Canucks. Hopefully not, especially in Brock Besser's case, as even though I've been making a couple of videos talking about using Besser as a trade piece to get certain players like Jared McCann, Raquel, deep down, I want Brock Besser to re-sign with this team. I want him to stay. The only way I want him to stay is if the Canucks re-sign him, but obviously the odds of that happening are very slim, and there's no news on that front. So as each day goes by, the chances of that happening drop even further. Anyway, moving on, let's get to the line changes. Player of the game. So tonight's player of the game is Filip Hronek, who finishes the night with 2 assists. He was a -2. He had 3 shots on goal, and he had 20 minutes and 17 seconds of ice time. So tonight's player of the game is Hronek. He had a great game, all things considered. He was not being in the lineup. He ended up taking a large workload, and he came through here tonight. But we do have to add a honorable mention for tonight, as I'll admit it was pretty difficult selecting a player of the game. I could have gone with DeBrusk, who scored a beautiful goal tonight. I could have gone with Brock Besser, because he got an assist here tonight. And just for, in case it may have been his final game, I could have gone with Bluger. I could have gone with Soucy, with him scoring the game winner. But I decided to go with Hronek. I am going to make an honorable mention, like I mentioned, and it's going to go to Elias Pettersson, who had 3 shots on goal. As I mentioned, 20 for 25 in the faceoff circle. He had 5 hits. He had 20 minutes and 47 seconds of ice time, which led all forwards here tonight. And yeah, so that's going to do it for this game recap. As I mentioned in a previous video, I'm looking at, for the game against the Wild on Friday, post deadline, of doing our game recap live. So this is going to be something new for not just myself, but for the channel. And yeah, I'm going to test it out, see how it works. And if it turns out to be a success, we will definitely be doing live streams in the future, possibly future games, maybe even a live discussion about postseason, off-season, anything really. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not subscribed to the Line Change, want to keep up to date on all the latest Vancouver Canuck news, content, trades, signings, game recaps, feel free to smash that subscribe button. You really help out the channel. Share this video with your friends. If you happen to have friends who are really big Canuck fans and want to keep up to date on the latest news, share this video with them, get them to subscribe as well, and I'll see you guys on Friday for trade deadline day.